The baby boomers have lived lives in much, much, much better balance than the generations before them. So the baby boomers don't have to go middle-age crazy. Middle-age crazy is about realizing that your life is out of balance. The early period of adulthood is the period that's devoted to how. The middle of adulthood is the period that's devoted to why. What to do. Why to do it, now that you have the skills that give you some stature in the world. My friend Marianne Schaefer saw this talk and she said, Layne, you make it too complicated. I said, Marianne, tell me about it. She said, Layne, it's simple. We're born, we shop, we die. We carry those people around who knew us in high school in a way that we don't carry other people around, because the people who knew us in high school are the people who knew us when we didn't have whatever it is we worked so hard to get. See, whether it's money, education, dignity, maturity, fame, success, whatever it is we work so hard for, the people who knew us in high school are the people who knew us when we didn't have it. But in general, it is remarkably true that the people who have status in high school are not the people who have status in adulthood. There are two reasons for that. First is, what it takes to get you stature in adulthood will very often get you made fun of in high school. Two, now get this one because it's crucial to this. People who don't have status when they are in high school are people who don't have status when they are forming their first adult identity. So they enter adulthood with a piece missing, a chunk out of their identity. So they work very, 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 very hard to fill in the missing piece as they go on. 10th reunion. Class nerd showed up dramatically late, driving an absolutely enormous baby blue Cadillac convertible, accompanied by an equally enormous, gorgeous blonde. He was the hit of the reunion. He knocked him out. It took him 3 weeks to find out that both the Cadillac and the blonde were rented. When I started high school, I was 5 feet tall. Now keep in mind, folks, what my name is. Right, Layne Longfellow. You know what they did with it. You know what they did with that. There was in my class, by sharp contrast to Bronze Adonis. He was the first string quarterback on the football team. He was the starting forward on the basketball team. He was the starting pitcher on the baseball team. He had so many letters on his sweater he could spell his name with them. That is how he could spell his name. See, unless he turned out to be Roger Staubach or Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Warren Moon, John Elway, there's no way that his adult experience can match the expectations that were set up in him when he was forming his first adult identity. See the stress of his midlife? He can't match it. He can't live up to it. I got a letter in the mail, and it was from Jackson, Ohio, but not from my parents. And I thought, what could this be? And I opened it, and it said, Dear Layne, we are so proud of your achievements since you left Jackson High. Would you be willing to come back on the occasion of your 25th class reunion to serve as Toastmaster for the annual Jackson High School alumni banquet? Would I be willing? It was the single most important engagement of my career. And I want to tell you, that blue Cadillac handled like a dream. Now, here is what the midlife transition is about, folks. It's about looking inward for the needs that have been met and the needs that have not been met, and making the mid-course corrections that are necessary to meet those that are unmet. He looks inward and he says, I've got this competency question on the run, but I don't have good men, friends, and buddies like I used to have. I'm not very well connected to my wife. We live in separate worlds. I'm not very well connected to my children because I was away doing what a man is supposed to do while they were growing up. Digby Deal wrote an article in Esquire on turning 40. He said, I woke up this morning on my 40th birthday and realized I'm half dead. And that realization that you're half dead hits in the gut for the first time. For the first time, you start to ask questions you haven't asked for a long time. Questions like, how much personal sacrifice am I willing to continue to make for professional gain? What did I leave behind in my youth that I really enjoyed? And I thought I had to give it up. Now I miss it. Can I get it back? Questions like, what did I work so hard for so long that I thought if I ever attained it would bring me satisfaction? And now I have attained it and it doesn't satisfy. Can I let go of something I worked that hard for that long? Questions like, where does meaning come from in life beyond success? I think most people come to the middle of our lives with a sense that somebody else wrote the script for the first half, that we would very much like at least to co-author the script for the last half. The midlife transition comes from the realization that there's some needs not yet met. Being honest with yourself about what they are. And then making the very, very slight mid-course correction. A very slight mid-course correction makes an enormous change in trajectory downrange. The purpose of the midlife transition is to ask the questions now, so that we don't come to the end of our lives with a series of unasked questions. Questions in the later years like, what if? And if only. There are 3 steps toward becoming your own person. Age 2, adolescence, and midlife. Age 2 is under the influence of our parents. Adolescence is under the influence of our peers. Midlife is our own. You get 3 shots at those life tasks. Once when you go through that age, next with your children, third with your grandchildren. It is also said that grandparents and grandchildren have such a close, warm, loving relationship with one another because they have an enemy in common.